Here today. I'm going to kind of run this more like a librarian would. It's more going to be a conversation here. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I started out Bachelor of Science in Nursing. I practiced nursing for 25 years. And I went back and got a master's in library science. So I've been a medical librarian since 2004. So it's exciting work for me. And there's a couple of aspects I want to talk to y'all about concerning the library. Your weekend students, is that correct? Most of it's going to be the weekend. Okay. First of all, I want to tell you, you're going to have, we're starting kind of a new program here, you're going to have a personal librarian. Everybody in the college is going to have a personal librarian. I am going to be your personal librarian. Okay? That's why you have my card on your, you should have it. What I want you to do, yeah, it's at the top. Yeah. What I want you to do is take that card and turn it over and get a pen, and I'm going to give you my cell phone number. Okay?
Well?
Okay. I worked in trauma surgery, so if you're not dying, my cell phone number is 704-796. Wait, I'm going to wait till everybody's got it. I'll repeat it. 704-796-1391. Okay. I would kind of prefer text. Tell me who you are first and what you need. A lot of what you may find you need through the library will be electronic items, journal articles, bits of information that way. Okay. Having said that, I'm going to talk about the physical library location because even though you're just here on the weekend, that library is open to you 24 hours a day. Now, college library, my son is a student at Brody Medical School in East Carolina. That library is not open for 24 hours a day. You have a library open to you 24 hours a day physically. Your badge, when you figure out, I would suggest sometime in the next couple weeks, go to the library. Find your way over to the basement of the hospital. It's not hard to find. It's one quick elevator ride down from the door. It's not winding around through. So you know where it is. It's a nice place to study. There are some computers there, not a lot. And there is an occupational therapy collection of books, like books, real books, three-dimensional books. Your badge gets you in 24 hours a day. Okay? You walk in the employee entrance, go down the elevator, it's right there. So that's a good thing. In the library downstairs, we actually have journals. Several occupational therapy titles. For instance, I brought a few, and I'll pass these around. Australian occupational therapy. And here is the American Journal of Occupational Therapy. Here's MOT practice. I want to back this. And here's one called Connection. This is the secondary publication of the Australian Journal. And here's another OT practice. Now, if I didn't give you one, I'm sorry. I'll give one. Having said that, I want to talk to you about your professional organization. Does anybody know what your professional organization is? There you go. Great. Who's a member? Who's a student member? Anybody? Oh, good. Okay. Well, okay, that's all right. I don't really want to count you. What you should do is join as a student because that gets you in a lot. It also doesn't it get you one of the journals?
Or gives your access to
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, you get access to it.
It gets you 2 journals. Well, and you can join at a discounted rate. It gets you in the loop of the profession that you're looking to seek into. Now, my reference is nursing, so we were strongly suggested at the University of Tennessee to join the nursing component, the student nursing component of natural reading nursing. That was really helpful because it got you in, some of the articles were a little bit beyond you, but it got you into what trends were. It also helps you when you're writing articles or coming up with topics I strongly suggest that y'all do that. Now, a big part of what you're going to experience is the online digital library. And I always like to give a little history about that. And now we start with all the letters and the names and all that stuff. Back in no, let's do it that way. In the 1960s, Carnegie, you know about Carnegie Foundation, the guilty Presbyterian who felt like he needed to give back some of the money that he had earned, had a very strict, I don't know if you knew this, Andrew Carnegie had a very strict mother, very strict Presbyterian. Yes, he was enormously popular with the railroads and the steel and everything, but he also felt guilty about that. So this is all because of guilt, sort of. He gave a boatload of money. I'm not sure who helped him come up with this idea, but to create something, they used the Carnegie Foundation money, to create something called the Area Health Education Consortium. You don't have to write this down. We say AHEC. We throw that around and people are like, well, what does that mean? It comes back from one of the Carnegie grants, continuing to gain money, I'm sure, where the entire United States was divided into health areas. Some states, that's why some states have an AHEC. North Carolina has an AHEC, South Carolina has an AHEC. There are some states that have 2 and 3 different AHECs because they're so populous. Think about California, Los Angeles, think about New York, they have several different AHECs. And some of them are called like the Southwestern, but the vast majority are called states, named by the states. Well, North Carolina AHEC library is your big resource. It's an online resource. Within North Carolina AHEC, they have the ADL, AHEC Digital Library. This digital library is where healthcare professionals, now this is really not for the general public. This information is way over the layperson's head. The Area Health Education Consortium is for physicians, nurses, occupational therapists, professionals in the field. You pay a lot of money to join it. If you're a single practicing physician, you're going to pay a lot of money to join this, to have access to all of this information. As a student, that's just part of being a student. You're not going to pay anything, and this is your online library. We have to buy certain electronic journals, so we spend a lot of money buying these online journals, and they're free to you. For instance, let's say you find an article in an online journal. Let's say the British Journal of Occupational Therapy, and you're just a person out there, and you're looking around, you can find that article. You will have to pay for it. You might have to pay $15, $20, $30 for that article. As a member, as a student, and as a student AHEC member, that article to you is free. We have 1,500 full text, that means for the last sometimes 30 years, full text journal articles available to you. I tell you all this like, that is money, that's like money in your pocket. That is a free gift to you. Now the people in my critical thinking class that went into AHEC, do you remember how, whoa, I can get these articles, there they are, and you just click on full text, that's your little magic thing, full text. And you get, it's just not a typed full article, it's like what it appears in the journal with the photographs, the color, everything. So I tell you this because please use that. I know you're going to be writing a lot. Master's level courses require you to write a lot. When I got my master's in library science, you write a lot of papers, you write. Use these resources. There's the APA style guide as a book is on the AHEC platform, part of your AHEC digital library. Every physician, every nurse in the state of North Carolina can use this through their employer. Or if they're practicing privately, they have to purchase it. But that's where they go. Every day in the library, I will get requests from physicians had an oncologist who was treating a patient with a complicated cancer with a combination of chemotherapeutic agent, and that patient developed a fever that continued to rise and rise, and so that's called malignant hyperthermia. This is deadly. This is happening. He called the library. He sent us a text and says, can you find something in the literature? We went to AHEC. We found something on that problem with those three drugs he was using, a case of malignant hyperthermia, and it was in, it was somewhere in Canada, the patient was in. There was a treatment out there. We went through the National Library of Medicine, is the broad-based library, that's the government library that's linked with AHEC, but really not AHEC. Within 5 minutes, we were able to get that article electronically on an urgent patient need basis. Within 5 minutes, we got it from France. The doctor had it in his hand. Here in Concord, he treated the patient with what they had treated their patient with, and the patient survived. So that was really cool. That is how effective this online digital library can be. That doesn't happen very often. And we were, oh, it was back to my trauma surgery days. I'm, oh, I got some adrenaline, I need some Maylon. So yeah, that's kind of why I left trauma surgery. And I was living on caffeine and Maylon. And it's like, yeah, I enjoyed it. It was orthopedic surgery. It was fun. I enjoyed it. But, you know, I'm almost 60 years old. This is a better way to live. But anybody who's, you know, ready to save lives, go for it. You're young and you're strong, and go for it. Anyway, I wanted to tell you a little bit about all the AHEC, ADL, and all these things. Don't be afraid. You know, people in critical thinking don't be afraid of this stuff. Oh, there's all these letters and numbers. It's like, okay, what does this mean? Just stop, go back, and make sense out of it. You're master's students now. It's okay to say, what is A, B, C, D, E, F, G? What does that mean? Take some time, think about it, figure it out, and work from there. Because it's really hard to bluff your way through a master's program. Would you all say? You can't get through undergraduate, maybe associate degree. But when you're in the master's program, it's like, it's just Katie by the book. You got to learn the stuff. Take your time, learn the stuff. You'll find your path. You'll find where you want to go. And I'm here to help. And that's why I want you to text me, to come up to the library, to leave me a note, to call on the phone, do whatever. Say, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm trying to find this. I don't know what I'm doing. Help me. That is the sign. That's the kind of physician. I'll tell you what. Those are the kind of surgeons that we respected as OR staff. The ones, you know, we would get trauma in, and some of them would say, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. We got to call a vascular guy. We got to call a general surgeon. I'm over my head. It's the ones who bluffed their way through and then made things worse. So we're like, we don't even like to walk in the room because that was part of a lawsuit. We don't like it. We like the people who say, I don't know everything, but I'm going to figure this out. Or find somebody who can. Or if we can't together figure it out, we're going to do the best we can with collective information. Okay? So if you don't know what you're doing, more people who don't know what they're doing are better than one person. Does that sound right? Am I making sense? Okay. Did everybody get? I see it's got a little schoolhouse on it, isn't it? I think I remember all these names. I've sent everyone an invitation to an email online digital library information. Join your password. Here it is. Does anybody not remember that? I'm not sure if they got it. And it's okay because you need it. Okay, good. If you started, oh, you're not sure? I did yours. I know you should have it. I know yours. I know what's in it. I'll send it in.
No, you sent it. I'm trying to remember.
Oh. Yeah. I can say, okay. I think I renewed everybody's password, so you can go back in.
Okay.
And restart again. And that's fine. You got my email. If you're like, I don't know what this is, don't say, I don't know what it is. I'm scared to ask her. No, because I forget passwords every day. By the way, there's a website called LastPass. journals we get either online or in paper. I've got 22 of them, so we should. You're gonna see some numbers on there, and we're gonna count off, and you're gonna be a number. We're gonna look up that journal later, just saying. So we're gonna have a little exercise, I guess. Does anybody have questions? Ask me questions or what you don't understand, or if I'm making sense or not. I need some feedback. Okay? Okay, all right. Again, when that, here's what I kind of don't like, but I've been there, I've done that. There's a paper due on Saturday, and Thursday night I start to get a lot of emails or texts. What do you know? Try it, especially in graduate school, try to pace yourself. Really pace yourself so you're not doing papers at the last minute. Because at this point, you're trying to not just get it done, but you're trying to come out of here a better professional. Does that make sense? You're trying to, I know we all just, okay, I'm gonna get through this thing. This thing's happening in my life. We've got to get through this. But try and get as much as you can out of this. Learn as much as you can. And the best way to do that is like she's talking about self-learning, self-direction. And take your time on your assignments. Try and carve out time in your lives to get as much out of your assignments as you can. All right, let's count off. Start over there. We're going to play Red Rover. You're 1, 2, 3,
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Okay. Everybody get
13,
14.
15, 16.
Okay. Now, look on your list there. Find your number. This is your first little assignment. You're going to find an occupational therapy journal assigned to your number. So everybody get their number. And it's possible I didn't get everybody's number. Okay? So, we're opening this up and we're going to the AHEC Digital Library, but you have a purpose. You're not just going to flounder around, okay? So open up your little laptops there. Fire it up. And there's an icon, and I think I checked each one of theirs. There's an icon on each one of those that says AHEC. So you want to click on that. You got it? A lot of them, it's the very bottom left. They're all mixed up. Oh, you just have to look at it. Okay. So this is where I hope, looks like everybody's got that. This is where I hope you remember your password if you were mailed. Anybody who, yeah, okay, your email? No? You don't remember it?
Save it.
You save it! There you go.
Save it.
Let me save it. So we've got a little bit of time. Everybody try and find it. If you found it, if you can get into the AHEC Digital Library, is anybody, I'm stuck, I can't do anything. All right, against the rules, let's try this. What?
I'll look it up.
Okay, all right, yeah, that's fine. Nancy, do you want to, see how I was supposed to look up our little individual journals? Okay. Yes, sir.
Not finding the AHEC.
Oh, not.
Did you get in?
See that. I don't know if you can on that thing or not.
I know, me neither.
Okay, so those of you who are in, we're gonna move forward, and those of you who are not, I'm gonna give you mine just this one time, just to see if it's the first person to pull it up, and then the rest of you can fix it. Find your number on the sheet of paper, find the journal, and see if you can locate that journal today. What you'll be doing is going to the home page, clicking on journal, and then using the alphabetical to try and find your journal. What we're doing is moving around in this health sciences library. That's all we're doing. We're just trying to move around. And you know, if you find something else interesting, you can look at it. It's just, what I'm trying to say is it takes time to get comfortable with this process. Has anybody found their journal? What?
Critical thinking.
I know. See, I made the critical thinking people do this, so they're like, looking down there, I know what. All right, let's try this. Anybody who's not in, ready? Let's try this. Dixon, D-I-X-O-N, C3. Okay? Down below, 793, C-N, 793. And now I have to change it. Okay? Sorry. 793, C-E-N, 793. Anybody get in on that? It might not let 5 people in because.
How did we reset it? I'm in on yours. But how do I reset it?
I'm sure I'll get a letter from the state. You're not a librarian. Oh, let's do that.
Okay.
Send me an email. I'll research it. Did you get in? Who is still not in? Oh, everybody's in? You found it? No. Okay. Well, if, you know, because I'm sure the state library is like, wait a minute.
They can't all be heard. Right, right. For multiple personalities.
Go over here. Come on here.
In here?
It takes a while. Or takes trying to. There, and then click login. And go to PDF and you put in an article. Is that, okay, you're on database. Come back, that's okay. Click on journal.
Okay, I clicked on journals and
Oh, are you using your own or mine?
or no, I'm using my own.
Okay, it's interesting that it went here. It went to the alphabetical list. Scroll to the top. Yeah. Yeah. You should have last time.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Scroll to the very bottom.
Oh.
It may show you at the very bottom how to do it. Oh, that's it. You're in everything about it. You just try and have to guess. I'm not sure how, some of them may have been clicked on that you set up that way.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
I will
Just
look.
lock yourself in.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep, you should have the same. Yep, should have the same.
Now, who had dance therapy?
Me.
Okay.
And I do not see American Journal of Dance Therapy. No, ma'am.
recently, they put a 6-month embargo on their articles, so you can't get the last 6 months of American Journal of Dance Therapy, and they do that. Why do they do that? They want you to spend the money. And sometimes, and this will happen overnight, it's just the way of the world, journals will go away. Journals will be added all of a sudden because it's always in flux. You know, people want money for writing these journals. And I knew American Journal of Dance Therapy was kind of on the edge, so it just went away probably in the last month or so. Now, you can still, by the way, Emily, the librarian who was the manager before me, I will just explain, she took a job in Seattle at the University of Washington, Health Sciences Library. This is the largest library on the West Coast, largest health sciences library on the West Coast. She couldn't give it up. She's single. She just drove with her 2 dogs to Seattle. I admire her. She says, I could do that. I'm like, she would explain that sometimes contracts for these electronic journals get written and changed, and they come and go, especially some of the smaller journals. And we just have to, what will happen with our package that we pay for, they will add other journals. It's in a constant state of flux. There are some you're always going to see. The British Journal of Occupational Therapy, the larger journals you're always going to see. Emily had a poster in the library that said, why do we have libraries? We have libraries because employers know the difference between a Google search and research. Okay? Now, if your family determines to use Google for something, and I use Google all the time to find things. If you're looking for an article or something related to occupational therapy, please use Google Scholar. Okay? What's going to happen if you Google some disease? WebMD or whatever.
Incorrect information.
Incorrect information. Information that's not what? Peer reviewed. Peer reviewed. That has to do with the hierarchy of reliability and trustworthiness in data, in research. And that's where we see a lot of beginning college kids. Well, if I'm going to do something, journal is this. What? Who peer reviewed? Oh, you know, anybody can publish something on the internet. So your job now as a master's student is to be extremely careful about what you cite, C-I-T-E. You need to, that is your #1 job, is to think about what you're citing, think about what you're, kind of like reading. This sounds really good. Yeah, maybe not. There's some chinks in the armor here now. Because a lot of this stuff, if you look up a disease, if you look up multiple sclerosis on the internet, you'll find all kinds of stuff that looks good. What will you find on the internet? Who is posting on the internet that has an experience with multiple sclerosis? The sickest people. The people are doing just fine. I haven't had a problem in 6 months. I'm on my medication. I take my medication. You're not feeling good today. That's not interesting. You're going to find really biased stuff on the internet. Especially when you're in healthcare. Just don't even go there. It's just not even there. You know? And one of the reasons why you are able to have these great resources in these professional journals is because we know students are on a ramen noodles diet. You know, we know you cannot afford thousands of dollars for electronic journals. You should get it. Don't blow it. Don't not use this stuff because you can't get it. We'll figure out a way to get you in. If nothing else, I'll come over some weekend afternoon. If you really can't get in, we'll get in today. I can get into utilities. You see utilities on mine? You guys have to click off of that. That's where I go in and set everything. Passwords up. But I'm generally the nicest person. You're not going to see that. You're not going to see that on yours. And mine may be a little more what other people are saying. So I really wanna make sure that you all click off, and I'm sure I'll get a letter from, Mary Beth Shell out of UNC Chapel Hill. Our AHEC is out of UNC Chapel Hill. That's a 5-story medical library. Medicine, veterinary science, North Carolina State veterinary students come over there. It's everything, you know. She sets our platform for us. She sets everyone's platform. So, all right. Are we ready to move on to something else? Can we talk about databases? Can you click on databases? I want you to, is everybody at databases? Go to C. Cinhal. C-I-N-H-A-L. Oh, here's more Lindsay. Does anybody remember what Cinhal stands for? That's gonna be a database you like. I'll tell you, it's the cumulative index, which means new, of nursing, but we're not nursing, so we can do that. And allied health literature. Occupational therapy is allied health literature. Now, you'll never have to know what Cinhal means again, just go to Cinhal. And that's where you're gonna be able to do some really cool searches. So click on Cinhal. Everybody there? You're gonna have a search box in the left upper corner. I want you to type in diabetic foot ulcer. Are things digitally not good for you? You got it. All right, are we all settled, or are you just gonna slam it?
It's live. I have black screen.
Oh, close it. Go
Okay.
Go sit with Miss Megan. I'm not rehearsal. These laptops, they belong on the card. Go talk to the card. It's frustrating, isn't it? It is frustrating. I tried to print some stuff out last night, and guess what was empty? For y'all. Your ink. My ink cartridge. It never ends. Here's my suggestion to you as students. Always have an extra ink cartridge. Because that's when your papers due, and you know what? We've gone out to dinner last night at Mama Ricotta's. My husband's driving me to Walmart last night at 11:30. We're down in Charlotte. Ever eat at Mama Ricotta's? Best Italian gas in Charlotte. And I'm thinking that, oh no, it's printing out, stripes. You know what it does. Don't do that to yourself, because you've just written the paper and now you can't print it out. Sometimes you just have computer problems, but do everything you can. I don't know, maybe buy 3 or 4 print cartridges now and then just retail print. Just advice, unsolicited advice. Okay, so diabetic foot ulcer, what do we have? All kinds of stuff, right? All kinds of nasty pictures. Do you see some of those articles have the magic PDF below them? And some of them do not. Okay? Go over to the far left and adjust your years. See how you can play with your years? So try and get diabetic foot ulcer articles within the last 5 years. The little slide there. And you'll see it'll reset itself. Those are called limiters. Okay? You can limit your search using those limiters. What I'm just trying to get you to do is you can do a lot of stuff with. Some articles you can get full text with, and some you can't. So click on any PDF. Click on a PDF. Does it come up to an article? And then go back and just hit your back button. Go to an article that doesn't have a PDF. Try and find one of those. I'm sure there is. Click on the article title, because people think, oh, I'll click on the article title and I'll get the article. citation information. Now, here's the deal. If you want an article and you don't have it in PDF, that citation information is very helpful for me to find that article for you. And that's something I want. Everybody look up here right now. If you can't get full text of an article that you need, that you figured out that's one that's exactly my topic, get that little card out and email me as much information as you can about that article. The title, the author, and in particular, and write this down on the card, if you can give me the PMID number that's on that citation, you will have that article much faster. That is that article's social security number, like in the National Library of Medicine. And that was how we could get that article from France so quick. Because we had that article's social. That PMID is PubMed identification and then number. PMID. Okay. So that helps everything.
So what if they don't have a PubMed?
And sometimes they don't.
Okay.
Nursing alcohol sometimes doesn't.
Okay.
Just give me the month as much as you can. Excellent question, because sometimes they don't. But if they do, that saves me having to go in to National Library of Medicine and find that. So, okay. I call it helpful. Okay. I think, does anybody have any questions? You had a question.
You answered it.
You what?
You answered it.
Oh.
Via my.
Oh, what if you don't have it? Okay. There's also some ISN numbers, and those are helpful too. But that's just stuff that if you can find that PMID number. Lots of times you're searching, it's going to be, I just want to find an article on my topic, because your topics are probably not going to be as broad as diabetic foot ulcer. What's there, 400,000 articles on diabetic foot ulcer? It'll say somewhere, but you're going to be looking for nuances in occupational therapy and and what you have to do, I'll just tell you this, if you are into a topic in occupational therapy that's very narrow, it's very specific, and you get 3 articles, what should you do? What are some things, let's just brainstorm. What should you do? Go ahead.
Broaden your search.
Broaden your search. What if you stump? Call me. Okay, that's what I like. There's some other tricks. If it's 11:30 at night, then I'm not going to be answering phones. And it's what, when you find information, is it cheating? Nancy, is it cheating no matter how you find information?
No, not unless it's.
What's a way you could, with the 3 articles you have, how can you expand possible articles?
Read their citations.
Bibliography can be the best way. And sometimes if you go to one of those articles and you type in a keyword, we're all using keywords. So when we talk about mesh subject headings, medical subject headings, this is getting pretty technical. This is keywords. You use those all the time in Google. Because we all use Google. Google's not a bad, I use Google. I'm running it down. But you don't want to find your medical information. We know how to use keywords now. We know how to, you're not going to write is not a keyword. You know that. Always look for keywords when you're searching. If you don't find them,
Hide behind
don't rule out anything. And you don't want to say, well, I found it in the bibliography. Physicians do that all the time. Not that physicians are the greatest, but it's where you find information. Just keep looking. Okay? Okay, I want to try and see if I can get that. Oh, I've got a little, now I need some clickers. Where did that go? I've got a little PowerPoint, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I'm not a big fan of PowerPoints because I think after slide 4 is kind of okay. Let's go to another slide. Emily likes DuckDuckGo. Does anybody else use DuckDuckGo as a search engine? I will tell you this is library trivia. DuckDuckGo never saves any of your personal information. Have you ever gone to Google, do you have a Gmail, and look up my account? go to Google and you have a Gmail account, and even if you don't, if you go to my Google account, you will find everything you ever searched, and that's not on your history, people. Google saves everything you can clear your history. If y'all are looking for stuff you shouldn't be looking for, or you think I cleared the history, you didn't clear anything. Just saying. That's why Emily liked DuckDuckGo. Emily was very techy, and she's like, I'm not gonna ever put any number on there. All right. So you ever heard of PICO? We're going to talk a little bit about PICO, but it's unrealistic to cram the nuances and details of searching and an orientation here. We're going to be working on that later when you start writing papers. PICO is one method of many to find information, develop a clinical query, clinical question. You'll see on your some of your data available in AHEC, there's something called clinical queries, which helps you do that. We're going to talk about the pyramid of evidence. Okay, here we go. Located at the lower level of the family center, and I'm actually going to hand you this out in a little bit, is a map of how to get there. Who knows this hospital pretty well? Anybody? The hospital very well. Okay, there's a blue awning over. If you drive down Medical Park Drive, Medical Circle Drive, there's a blue awning. You cannot miss it. It's the blue awning. It's like a big blue awning. You go in there, there's an elevator right there. Take the elevator down. That's the library. Make a little U-turn and see a courtyard. That's the library. It's not hard to get to. Let's keep going. There it is, see? But that really doesn't tell you much, does it? Okay. Now, have you all been on the college website? Okay. And the way to get to the digital library through the college website is we're calling ourselves the IRC, Information Resource Center. Okay? And then resources, and then you'll see AHEC Digital Library. It's a link. And I will say, if you just Google AHEC, North Carolina AHEC Digital Library, it will take you to somewhere called My AHEC. And that's the education part of the consortium. The AHEC also provides training for physicians, training for physical therapists. You will be so lost in My AHEC. Look for the digital library. Because AHEC is way more than just the library. Okay. So if you ever get lost in My AHEC, then start thinking digital.
Can you just hit it through Canvas?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but people, click. But I'm telling you, if you forget or you're somewhere else and you're not in Canvas, and some people get lost in My AHEC, and it's interesting, but they'll spend 15 minutes like, where am I? I'm just trying to impress on you. If you're in AHEC and you're not finding a library, think digital library, because there's a link for digital library. Because it'll say nursing and occupational therapy, and all of a sudden you're in Pittsburgh in a seminar. And where do I find the library?
And Cassie, just a lot of these things that we're talking about now are part of your online orientation.
Yes.
That part that was under construction. So when we finish up, we're going to show you where that is in the LibGuides, which is your library guide.
Right.
So PICO, all that stuff will be in there.
Yeah.
Just so you guys, in case you're writing feverishly, it'll be there.
You all cheap
Oh,
people have a concentration. The human being has a concentration of about 20 minutes, and we can pretend that we don't. But years ago, when I was scrubbed on brain surgery. It's hard to believe, but the guy, the surgeon, put his stuff down and he said, I gotta go get some chocolate milk, sorry. Because I can't concentrate anymore. Put a towel over the person's head, put his gloves off, went and stood in the ante-room, the scrub room between rooms, and said, I need some chocolate milk. I said, did you want a little protein too? He goes, that'd be nice. So he's just sitting there stretching and moving. I mean, he's watching the patient the whole time. And I'm running down there going, oh my God, I gotta find some chocolate milk. So with my own money, I'm buying chocolate milk and peanut butter for the surgeon. And he's, thank you very much, I'll pay you back. And he scrubs and he goes back in. He says, well, that's better. We'd been there 5 hours, and he had 3 more hours to go. So he's, they're be really intense, but you come to a point where you're like, I can't think of anything else. And it's a professional person who says, I'm shot, I'm done. Can't do that. So everybody eats your sugar or whatever pumps you out, chocolate milk. I always remember the brain surgeon who just put the towel over the patient's head and went to get something to eat. He was a good surgeon. You know, I would want my brain surgeon to have enough sugar and caffeine. Anyway, anybody needs to go up and go to the bathroom and get something to eat. See, go to the bathroom, get something to eat. Okay, you're off. You're gonna see this all. Here it is. Here it is. And that's generally where you're gonna find the AVIC digital library. So if you ever get lost, come back to that. And I'm gonna skip over that because that's the old. That's the old beginning. I haven't changed that one. Here are some questions that Emily came up with about how to, and another good database you all might like is someone called OT Seeker, Occupational Therapist. Yeah, everybody's the idea.
That'll be in your LibGuides too.
It's all LibGuides, yeah.
It's in your LibGuides.
Nancy's done a super.
There's
There's a
OT
program
Seeker.
in the library world called LibGuides, and you can fill it in with this. You can customize it, and she's done a super great job with it. This is kind of what PICO is in Emily's language here, patient intervention, comparison, and outcome. Isn't that cool? Look at that. She did a really good job. Okay, I'm giving you this page because that's your standard of how to evaluate what in the world am I reading? Who wrote this? Those are the clown or who? Because it can sound really good, and then you start looking at who wrote this article. Meta-analyses are the primos. They're hard to find, and those are really in-depth. I don't want to get too technical. Those are the best resources you can find, and there's not a lot out. Systematic reviews. There's a database, and people may be following me, and if you're not, that's okay. There's a database there called EBM, Evidence-Based Medicine, Cochrane Systematic Reviews. That's the creme de la creme. Cochrane Systematic Reviews. You can, you know what? If I were writing papers, I'd take my topic and I wouldn't fool with PubMed, I wouldn't fool with anyone else. I would go immediately to Cochrane Systematic Reviews, type that in if there's something I'm looking for. Because you're going to have a systematic review of the literature. That's a great place to start. Don't start with individual articles. Start with systematic reviews of everything, and then pick out what sounds good. You know? But like I said, finding information anywhere. If you find an individual article that's spot on, that's great too. Make sure it's, you know, written by somebody who knows what they're talking about and is peer reviewed. You cannot go wrong with systematic reviews. And there's even a whole database in that Cochrane Systematic Reviews. Randomized controlled trials are the next one. Prospective blind comparisons, cohort, case control studies. Animal research would be your, it's there, but it's animal research. Okay, this is a good place to come into EBM, evidence-based medicine. Have you heard people talk about that? What is evidence-based medicine? I have to teach a class on evidence-based medicine to nurses at the hospital in a couple of weeks. Evidence-based medicine is like the latest, you know, soup du jour. It's the great thing. All that means is, for a long time, medicine was practiced by what was in the book. The book says we should be doing it this way. The book says we've always done it that way. This is what the book says. Evidence, the people, the sick patient, the evidence shows what sounds good in the book may not really be the best way to treat a patient. So that's why we're moving to evidence-based. So that's kind of where the systematic reviews of literature system, somebody's great idea. It's a systematic review of all the literature, not one person's great idea. What's really going on, not just one person's great idea. like evidence-based medicine, evidence-based research looks at patient values, clinical expertise, and the best external clinical evidence. It used to be the best external is what we went by. No, now we're looking at what do patients value? If patients are not ever going, they're never going to do it, what value is it? And people down in the trenches, the clinical expertise, those three things together give you really good research. The three areas together. This is snow, so we're just, okay. When you search, there's a whole language called Boolean operators, and there are dollar signs and percentages, and it's almost like a computer language to do in-depth searches. No one is going to expect you to be able to search like that. Searching the medical literature used to be just reserved for, and 25 years ago it was reserved for people like medical librarians, because you had to look through books and print journals, and it was difficult. A lot of this stuff you're able to do yourselves. And do you understand how the thinking goes? And think about when you do a Google search, and you're taking that scale and moving it into medical terminology. Fish and sticks, fish or sticks, fish not sticks, sticks not fish. Does that make sense when you're searching how you have to place your terms to get what you want? If you're not finding what you want, and or are called Boolean operators. And it makes a big difference when you search, like remember we tried to do a search in Sinnel, whether you're anding or oring. So you get a big difference. Okay. Now, okay, here's a good one. Candy, not chocolate. So what would that be? We don't know whether those Reese's Pieces, I guess those are Reese's Pieces down there, so that would not be chocolate. Do you see the difference? There's candy up there that's not chocolate. Okay. Let's go back to the forks. Spoon or fork? See, we talked about diabetic foot ulcer. So you talk about foot ulcer, diabetic, or just foot ulcer, and then you combine them together. Remember we talked about mesh. The MED is always with it because it's medical, and then SH is for subcutaneous. And I like a controlled vocabulary. Mesh is a controlled vocabulary to search medical information. You're going to have a small online orientation project there. I guess it's just a couple questions.
Yeah, it's not.
Play around with that. I don't even want to scare you with. That's kind of what mesh is like. When you take a medical term and you go into the National Library of Medicine and you expand it, you can get pages and pages and pages of just terms. You will eventually get into that as you become more confident, more experienced in occupational therapy terminology. You'll be able to target in. But I don't want you to feel when you use who's used PubMed before? Well, that's a database too. PubMed is the database of the National Library of Medicine. You need to get your game on. You can find a lot of things in PubMed, but you'll find a lot of things. You have to learn to start using medical subject headings when you're in PubMed. It's different than it was even 3 years ago. They're kind of almost using smart thinking to give you automatic medical subject headings to pursue. And when you start to use that, you will see suggested medical subject headings. But just give it a start, Cochrane lines. Remember, I said Cochrane systematic abuse. Clinical evidence is good. And then had some in-class exercises here. I think I'm probably getting close to my time. What questions do you have?
Are you gonna give us that back slide?
Yeah, right here. Okay. Yeah. Here, I'll pass that out right now. It's this right here. Just keep that. And the other side of it is, hey, map to the library. So, I would really like for you to come and see where we live. But, you've got my card. It's kind of scary. But please click out, please close out of my name or any of the library. I'm gonna trust y'all are honest, you're healthcare professionals. Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there we go.
Thank you.
Yeah, she sent a link and
All right, were you able to get in?
yeah.
And, okay, you've got my email address there. Anybody who is having trouble with the egg edit, please let me know. On your own? Okay, well, I'm here to help you, that's my job.
So just before we break, just to show you guys as you go into that next section of your modules, for the part that has been under construction, which is your introduction to evidence-based practice guide. When you go in there, you'll come across this page, and that top part just gives you a visual of when you go into the guides, what the home page will look like. Okay, because you're in Canvas here, and you're gonna go out of Canvas to this other system. So just click literally on this icon, and it'll take you to your LibGuide. Okay, so this is our LibGuide for our program.
So good. She did such a good
So,
job.
well, we put something in there. And a lot of what Cassie talked about are the sections that are part of the LibGuide. So you can go through each section, they're tabbed just like a book, but you can hit your table of content, and it'll take you to each of the pages. Well, that one's not looking, but so if you go to your evidence-based practice page, it'll reinforce a lot of the concepts here, right, that she talked about. You can click through these tabs to look at, again, she talked about levels of evidence. So you'll see a lot of the same themes, and then there'll be resources in there to help reinforce those concepts. We talked about PICO questions. This page is about PICO questions and about how to formulate PICO, how to generate one, a worksheet. And then she talked a lot about the databases. So down here, it has the CINAHL, the PubMed she talked about. There's a couple of others, Google Scholar. And some additional resources there as well. But as with anything, and I think Kathy would probably says this the best, is explore this and play with it, because it's the best way to figure out how to do searches well. It's hard to just kind of go in there and say, oh, it's going to be cut and dry. I was trying to find one other resource that I wanted to point out. Oh, it's probably here. Okay. On the bottom here, a lot of those other databases that aren't part of the official library, CINAHL and PubMed that she talked about. So she talked about OT Seeker in here, Cochrane Evidence and Cochrane Library. These are all commonly used evidence-based practice databases where you can also find information on a lot of the clinical guidelines and clinical research that you're gonna want to have access to. So there's databases, there's search engines, practice guidelines, different things in there. So really kind of go in and familiarize yourself with these resources and kind of explore them to know which one you might want to use when and what might be the best resource. Then when you go back into your Canvas, this link is now accessible, and then the questions to help you kind of do some practice with it, or quiz, for lack of a better word. I know that he's the word. But it's in your Canvas, so you can kind of practice this and look through it, and that'll be available after 5 today. So that should come up, okay? But if I didn't hit the right button, let me know. So if for some reason you don't see it, that's one of those where I didn't hit the right button. But this will be in your Canvas, so you should be able to access it, okay? If you have any questions about stuff that's in here, just feel free to email me, okay?
So, it's okay, I was just saying you don't need to take it down. Well, I was just going to add something. A lot of that material had been within the orientation as well to introduce you to AHEC databases, and each person, like in OTA world, is going to be in a different place, and they're going to know certain information and need to know certain information. So, basically, I really appreciate Nancy, because that was a huge amount of work. She took it out of the orientation and added to it and enhanced it and put it in LibGuides so you guys can have access to it just throughout the program, easier than going into the orientation all the time. So that will be a reference, and know that that's part of your orientation process, which is why we built in the questions afterwards. Because I see a lot of you have gone in and started working on the orientation and the questions and even submitting to Smart Thinking, and kudos to you. Don't worry if you didn't. You have all these weeks, but as my suggestion, I guess you really didn't think you were going to come out of here with homework, but you are. So it's only to help you. The more you go in and learn the searches, the more you go in and understand the program, the more you go in and use those resources, it's just going to be easier when you're there to focus on the academics once classes start, okay? That's why this orientation evolved, because that first cohort we had, we said, oh, we don't need to bring them in just to get started. But then by the time students came in that first weekend and we tried to reinforce all this, it really would have been helpful to have it beforehand. We would have come in and said, you can see that after the fact, hindsight is also. So we started it last year, and students that did come said it was very helpful, so we just put it in there. Because there's okay, I know it was a while for me to have lunch, but didn't I have books sitting right here?
Yeah, they're right here. I'll have them over there. I'll grab them in a second.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's being recorded. Never mind. We don't need it. No, it's okay. Alicia, it's okay.
Well, it's for that student that's on here.
Okay, that's all right. I was just going to show you, and I'll show you afterwards a couple of the other books too. But to add, besides the AHEC, besides the evidence-based practice, understanding the levels, some of you may know it already, some of you may not. What we mean by PICO questions and mesh terms, the information is there. Okay, so this is a good introduction to independent self-directed learning, right, that we were talking about. The other part of that, too, is APA format. Now, those that have come up to the program have heard of much more to your advantage to spend the time in the next couple of weeks to become familiar with it than to try to do it while you're trying to do the schoolwork. Okay? Depending on where you are with that. I was just going to show you the whole book, but that's okay.
I would strongly suggest that you buy that book. Buy it used, buy it something. You can get the APA electronic, you can get it electronically. That's just for electronic resources. You need to just buy it. It will be so much easier. I have students who are very techie savvy. It's so helpful to have that book when I'm writing instead of trying to look through UL.
Yeah,
Trying to look is very good.
And some of it's a matter of preference.
Right.
Sometimes I
Right.
prefer the owl. Sometimes I'll grab the book. Sometimes the book's really confusing to me. So it's a matter of preference. And also, Smart Thinking has links. Now, Smart Thinking has links for APA format as well. So
It's
thank
hard
you.
to read the APA style manual. It's kind of like reading a dictionary. I mean, you know, it's a reference book. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I read it. I don't remember. Oh, I'm surprised you don't remember.
And to add to that, not my forte, I'm visual picture wise, but we don't remember all the details. I mean, maybe some people could, but not. We have to reference it all the time. However, there are some basic things that we are going to be looking for. Some basic principles for referencing a book, for referencing an article in a journal, how to reference and cite books that are chapters, edited chapter books, okay? When to cite, I built in some additional resources in the orientation. The basics, yes, we are going to expect you to do pretty soon. That first paper, we're going to kind of gear you for it. When it comes to referencing a diagram or something unusual, I have to look it up. And it takes me just as long as it's going to take you to look it up, too. Don't feel, but it is something that is part of the academic curriculum. So, thank you so much for giving your time on a Saturday.
I'm really happy to meet some of the students I've already had. It's really nice. And just really feel free to text me and some of you are like, I've got this, you don't, and that's okay. It's okay. And if you get in a bind or you need some additional stuff, or I don't read papers. I don't read grade papers. It's what do you think about this paper? I've had people send me. Well, I mean, when I'm teaching, of course, yeah. But I've had a couple of people say, what do you think of this paper? I'm like, well, I'm not your instructor. That may not be what So I know some librarians and some colleges will proofread papers. I'm not an editor. My undergraduate in nursing, not English. So, but most librarians do have an English degree. So that's reasonable. But that you don't want to be. Yeah.
Oh, did you have a question? Or just stretching?
No, I'm stretching, sorry.
Okay, no, I could only see the arm up for a second because you're kind of locked.
I will say one quick thing after you close the library. We have 6 panels traveling exhibit from the National Library of Medicine on African American medical contributions to the Civil War. It's really cool. And you have issue in I brought a little poster and here's some brochures here. It's called Finding Wounds and Pushing Boundaries. And it's fascinating how much the African American population contributed to medicine, which is pretty crazy, but medicine and the Civil War is very interesting. So that I'm done.
Amazing. I'm sorry. No, that's okay. Thank you. And like I said, don't expect her to grade. That's what we have Smart Thinking for. And remember, Smart Thinking isn't going to correct you. It's going to teach you. Okay? That old saying, give a man a fish or teach them how to fish. But they are wonderful at helping you find resources and articles Gwen and helping you when you may have difficulty. We expect you to try first.
Yeah.
And so make sure you explain to them what you've tried, but reach out. And also understand I'm going to give her she's alone now. And
For a while.
For a little while. So give her some benefit of the doubt if you don't hear from her back right away.
Oh, no, you're not.
What?
No, she was making sure she
Okay.
wasn't away.
All right.